Hi, this is Cathy Goodwin coming to you with another video in our series From Listeners to Clients, how to turn your speaking engagements into client attracting marketing tools. So today we're going to talk about getting the gig. Last time we talked about identifying possible venues where you can speak, and now we're going to talk about actually getting in front of those people after you have identified who they are. Step one is to spread the word, and you can do this by networking, social media, and calls or emails to various groups you've targeted from our first video. Networking means that when you're at a lunch meeting or a breakfast meeting or just meeting anybody and who might be a possible contact or just throwing it out there to the world, you say, when people say, what do you do? What are you looking for? What would be your ideal client? Instead, you say something like, you know, what I really want to do is speaking. I'd like to get in front of groups, and here's what I talk about. And if they say, tell me more, then you go into very briefly your topic of your signature talk and something about how much you love to speak. Social media work especially well when you can announce that you're going to be giving a talk or that you've just completed a talk. So for example, you could post on Facebook, I'm so excited, I'm going to be giving a talk tonight to the widget makers of America on how to produce widgets more efficiently and have time to go fishing afterwards. That would, or something like that. Then, or fishing with widgets, something clever that would get their curiosity. You might then, after the talk is over, you say, oh, I had such a great time speaking to the widget makers of America. They loved my talk, and they were wonderful people, and I just love doing those things, something like that. That lets people know without coming out and saying it that you're available to speak and that you are a good speaker. You can also say something like, I've just moved to a new city and I'm looking for speaking gigs if you know anybody. Some people do well with that. It depends on your topic and how rare it is and how much in demand it is. And some people don't do anything. So it's worth a try. Finally, calls and emails to various groups that you have targeted earlier. It used to be that you might be able to send out a bunch of emails to media or to speaking coordinators and say, hi, do you accept outside speakers? I'm interested in talking, and here's one of my topics. And you would get responses. People would be eager to hear from you. Today, those emails tend to get pushed aside, and you almost have to phone. You almost need an introduction, which is something you can get from your networking groups. So what you might do is actually call people on the phone and say, I'm interested in speaking. I've talked to someone who tried having a telemarketer and an assistant make the calls, and she said it was much more effective when she made the calls herself as the speaker. So after you've got that set up, you can prepare your promotional material so that now if you actually come face to face or you're on the phone with someone, they ask you for something, you're ready. When they say, can you send me something, or can you tell me more about yourself? Your website and your one sheet. Your website needs a speaking page. So when you set up your menu, you have home, about, services, contact, and now you have a new tab, speaking. Your speaking page is usually pretty short, as they all are these days. It includes your bio, generally a formal bio, but you might want to add an informal version or have a link to an informal version. The reason is that sometimes meeting planners like to get a sense of who you are as a person. So I remember I gave a talk once to a group, and the person who introduced me was looking at my introduction, and what he really liked was where I said she does not have a favorite color, song, or movie. He liked it better than all my credentials and my good stuff about my background, because he said that gives you some personality, and that's what we look for. So if you want to have either add some personality to your bio or have a separate, more informal one. Your signature talk is the topics that you speak on that you have identified as your signature. That's a topic for another video. Testimonials are critical. If you've spoken anywhere at all, get testimonials about the audience reaction, about how effective you were, how much they enjoyed you, and get it signed by a real person. For a testimonial, you really can't have initials or disguised information. You have to have the person's full name and organization. Video and audio work well for some markets and for some people. Clips of videos are really good, and audio clips, if you want to embed them in the page. Nowadays, it's so easy to do that. It's really hard not to do that. You'll get different views on whether the video should be professionally done or whether you can just get one to have something up there. You'll also hear advice to get something called a one sheet. Usually this is for paid speakers and entertainers, but just in case someone says, where's your one sheet? You'll know what it is, and you should always say yes, even if you go home and make it that night. It's a summary of your speaking. It's pretty much the same as your web page, but it's all condensed on one sheet, front and back. It's got all your information, and it's set up today like an infographic. So the type itself becomes a design. You might have things moving around. You might have fancy borders around the sections. I recommend you keep it to black type on a light background, but some people are doing colors. It's more exciting. This is one that I made up a while back. I would not use it this way today, but I have to say I've never been asked for a one sheet, but I think it's handy because if someone says, tell me about yourself, can you forward me something? If you say, yeah, I'll send my one sheet, they know what you're talking about. And most of this could be used. I probably brighten it up a little bit because it's a little more subdued than we would use today. And it's a basic, it has something about me. I think now today I'd put Ph.D. up here next to my name for the credential and right up top. And, it has something about me. It has a quote about me, my speaking style, and at the time, I was encouraged to have this How to Transform Your Lazy, Good-for-Nothing Couch Potato website into a lean, mean revenue machine. I would not do that today. The topics that have been the most helpful have been things like secrets of a website that attracts clients, or anatomy of a client attracting website, or 5 reasons your funnel isn't full. So those are things people want because people want hard-hitting, results-oriented topics. And I also do have some other topics that people had. One people liked was your 4-letter words. 3 4-letter words to get more clients and increase revenue. That was one of the ones I've used. But you can be interesting and arouse curiosity. But remember, if you have to trade off curiosity for solutions, solutions win every time. So once you've set yourself up and you've got some feelers out there and people will start calling you, you want to be ready to sell yourself. You've got the materials, and now you have to be aware you're on the phone, or maybe you're exchanging emails. You need 3 things, and they're more in this order. First, you need a hot topic relevant to the needs of the group. If your group is eating, maybe a group that's a fitness group, or maybe a group of athletes or runners, you might talk about, and you're a nutritional coach, you might talk about nutrition and runners, and you might talk about something like what new discoveries that turn our ideas of healthy eating upside down. That might be an interesting topic. You'd put it a little better than that, but you need a really hot topic that's relevant. Social media right now is hot for many groups. Another one is productivity and getting more content out in less time. And that's probably one that I would do if I were doing a speech now. You need to show that you've got experience in speaking. Nobody wants to take a chance on someone who is going to blow it because they will look bad. So if you have any experience in speaking, you need to show it and discuss it right away. Or if you don't have any experience, think of how you can get it. For example, I've been doing improv classes, and I find when I tell people I've done improv, they get very interested. I also won an award for humor speaking in a contest. People like that. They want to know that you're going to be funny and you're going to be engaging. In future videos, we'll talk about techniques to do that. And believe it or not, last but not least, they do want your credentials and expertise, but they kind of figure they can get a lot of people with credentials nowadays. There's a lot of experts walking around, but they want someone who can get out there and entertain their group and not disgrace them in public. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to my website. You can set up a consultation where we'll discuss this in detail, and you can listen to my audio call, which is my training call, which is, depending on when you listen, it's either forthcoming or past, and you can get the recording. Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you on a future video, and I'd love to hear from you and your own experiences in speaking and what you've learned, what you'd like to learn. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of the day.